The farmers have no idea what kind of crop they have to grow at what area at what time. And these are the basic information with using the technology like the satellite image analysis or the sensors, as well as the other hyperspectral image, analysis. We can simply provide them the AI advisory or the basic, information where farmer can go for the sustainable approach. For example, hey, in Rajasthan, where I come from, is a desert state. Since so many years, farmers were using and growing the crops like millets, and then there was a reason behind this, right? The old folks, the old farmers, and the wisdom comes with that. And they were always growing the millets, and the reason was that because millets do not take a lot of water from the land, and it was more sustainable. Same thing, like if we go more deeper in the south of India, like in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, they're using the rice and the other crops which require a lot of water because they have plenty of water. Uh, in Rajasthan, in the last few years, the, especially the young farmers or the farmers who come from the the latest generation, what they have done is they thought like, okay, because millet is not very profit giving crop, so they started growing wheat, because wheat is something that can give like a lot of profit. But unfortunately, wheat also take a lot of water from the land, and because of this, the different new crop, the zero level, it's almost here in Rajasthan. So we are like almost 3 years behind the zero level. Zero level means when you do not have any single drop of water in your land. So I think to the reason I gave you this example, because it is perfectly fit with the circular economy in agriculture, and this is one of the reasons how circular economy fit with the agriculture landscape globally. I've just give you an example of India, but if you can see, if you go to South Australia, if you go to the US market, even some part of Europe, they have the similar situation. So these are kind of like the advisory based on the different technology like satellite, the sensors, and the AI can give the advices and help small scale farmer without spending a lot of money on the technology to make it a very nice sustainable environment for agriculture practices.
Yeah, I think you're right. When it comes to the ground level application of practices, I think it is similar everywhere, irrespective of the demographics. And to make it sustainable, I think every single farmer, irrespective again of the demographics, has to adapt to the circular practices. You have been also associated with particularly the smallholder agriculture farmer. So, Lalit, what do you think? Are the kind of investments in the smallholder agriculture achieve to achieve a greater societal and environmental good as compared to the larger and more mechanized farms? This question particularly is in comparison to the international market, where we see the size of the farms to be bigger and more kind of a mechanized work rather than the labor work that we see in India.
Yeah, so that's again another important question, Shalini. So the one thing we need to be considered, like the small scale farmers have the limited resources. While like if you have a large farm like 300, 5,000, or even like even beyond that, they have plenty of the tools. They have plenty of options to go for, right? Whether it's a big John Deere tractors or even any other kind of the mechanized tools. But when we talk about the small scale farm, and as I mentioned in my previous answer, they have the limited resources in terms of the available tools in the market. So I think the investment point of view, it's very crucial for the different stakeholders to be invest in the small scale farmer. Again, if I talk about the facts and figures, India is land of around 118 million small scale farmers. If I talk globally, these are around 550 million small scale farmers. So around 80 to 82% of the global farmers or the farms are the small scale farmers. So these are the one who are responsible for around production of 80 to 90% of the total world population. So you can see these are like technically the small scale farmer are the one who responsible for the total global food production. And because as I mentioned, they have a lot of limitations. So let's say if we talk about only about India as compared to the rest of the world, in India the average farm area is 3 to 4 acres. These are pretty small. You cannot afford a big
Yeah.
tractor or a mechanized tool, right? So I think for them it's very important these days to invest in such technologies or tools that provide a affordable and a useful solution or outcome to them. So again, I'm touching the same point like the sensors or the satellite parts and all. These are you like I think the different governments and even the private companies should invest in these kind of tools for the small scale farmer that help them to make it more productive. Another important reason why this investment is important in the small scale farmer because these large corporations again now I'm bringing the international market to the Indian perspective. So these big corporates, those working in Indian market, technically they're working with the small scale farmer because in India we do not have a lot of huge farms, right? And they are now started investing in these kind of small scale farmer because they know at the end of the day we're doing the corporate farming with these small scale farmer and they need a solution which is going to help us back to give the better output or the yield.
Hmm.
So I think the investment is very crucial part, and I have seen like the positive side is in the last few years I've seen a lot of investment is coming on in the small scale farming scene.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, but I wonder why there is no solution to kind of collaborate with these smallholder farmers to make a kind of a cooperative or something, some other idea which could help them to join the farmland to have a bigger produce. Because what I believe, though I don't belong to a farmer community, but what I believe is if you have a bigger land and you use more kind of mechanized or mechanical tools, then it also impacts the production cycles for that sake, and the overall production rate of the land per hectare also increases substantially. Well, that may be another ground problem that you're discussing and is a very, very important thing to notice here. So also tell me, Lalit, what do you think are the social, political, and most importantly economic constraints in the introduction and contribution to sustainable agriculture in India?
Uh, so just to add a couple of things in the last question. So I think when we talk about the small scale farmer, you have mentioned one point, like the land uses or the uses of the land. I think the another reason why these kind of whether the investment or the social economical constraint in the small scale farmer, because small scale farmers are relatively responsible for like to giving or providing the more output, which is not good fit for the circular economy because like you have a small scale farmer and your output are low but your adverse effect of your whether it's using fertilizer or wasting water is relatively high. So I
Hmm.
think this is the one. But if we move to the current question is like there's a lot of constraint and this is the reason why there are like the very less inputs, especially investment point of view as well as technological point of view are in the small scale farmer, especially in Indian agriculture community, because our agricultural based the community on the or the ecosystem is highly influenced by the different stakeholder and as you already have mentioned social, politically and economically influenced market, right? And if I simply take couple of examples, these are for example fertilizers, right? So fertilizers is the one of the most important factor that is making this whole environment or the circular economy completely disastrous because and the reason is of course political influence. So again, I do not want to go deeper into that problem, but if I simply take the example because this is important, that the fertilizer companies, the biggest fertilizer companies around the world, they have a lot of lobbying in the market, like in India, in Africa, right? Because these Southeast Asia, India, Africa, even Latin America, these are the land of the small scale farmer, and they put a lot of lobbying because as you have mentioned, as I also have discussed, the large farmers are smart ones. They have the different mechanized tools. They can simply evaluate whether I need or not. But the small scale farmer, they do not have any kind of such tools and all. And because they are not highly educated as well, and because they are completely influenced by the social and the political, the lobby, they need to put, they are like, forced to use a lot of fertilizer. So for example, in India, we got free kind of urea. We got free kind of, the fertilizer. I'm like, where it comes from? It's a very subsidized price because government is providing the subsidized price to the private company, and they giving this urea and fertilizers to the farmers to use it.
Obviously,
And
the
if
farmer is lured to use them then.
exactly, and if I say, hey, I have a good tool, which help you to maintain your fertilizer, the management. They won't use, like like farmers want to use, but government, or I'm not using the word government, but every other stakeholder may not like the solution, because this will help farmers to maintain the right resources. So maybe the pricing or the sell of the such fertilizers or such seeds will go decline. So definitely, Indian agriculture is highly influenced by different stakeholders with the different decision makers. So
So, Lalit, from your question, I mean, this brings me to another very kind of a controversial question. When you said that Indian farmer is kind of influenced by multiple stakeholders when it comes to use of sustainable practices, would you say, how would you compare Indian farmer to any farmer, let's say in Holland, for that sake? Uh, what would you say? Is the change in technology or adaptation to the new systems and technologies easier there as compared to that in India?
yeah, so there are many reasons. There are many factors, Alini, right? I think the first important factor, I would say, because I work in Europe and in US market, right? The first major factor is the education. Like, I'm not talking about here the degrees, college degrees. I'm simply talking about the awareness about the different,
Awareness. Yeah.
yeah. So awareness is the right word. So they're well aware. So for example, I gave you a very simple example that in India they are influenced. They are like forced to use the fertilizer. While in the Netherlands, they know what are the right amount of fertilizers or nitrogen, urea I have to use. So they are well aware. Then the second point is the policy side, right? So in Europe, right? Europe is one of the most strongest policies, agricultural policies in the world, most strongest, right? And especially Netherlands, they have their own policies as well. They are highly sustainable. I think one of the best ecosystem for agriculture and food production. So they have their own internal and the, like, regional policies as well, where they have they have tell or aware. They make the farmers educate, right? Okay, you have to be used this kind of fertilizer. This should be the level. If it is go beyond, we will fine you. All these things, we do not care about the productivity. Even if you are producing low, that's fine. So there are several factors as well. So these are the things. Again, as I mentioned, like in Netherlands, they making farmers more educated. While in India, we're trying to make our farmers keep in the same position, right? So if they become educated, they may not listen to the farmers. But I think in the last few years, as I mentioned, the governments. Another reason, it's not just simply technical or the awareness. The other reason is, for example, in Netherlands, they have that freedom to sell their crops, right, to the
Hmm.
open market. While we have seen in
Hmm.
India, there was a lot of issues, and recently we had a good new bill, which is again
Yeah.
debatable,
Yeah.
but this is a point to, yeah, discuss as well.
Yeah. Yes, very right. I think somewhere we also want to talk about the farm bills, but not here particularly because you are from the technology sector, and we want to talk about more innovation and technology in agriculture with you. When I saw your website and I was looking at different kind of solutions that you've come up with the agriculture, I saw there were a lot of innovations that you have introduced and kind of innovative practices which has proven to be successful in the path of agricultural processes. So, what are some of the new techniques and innovations that according to you, should be adopted in organizations and startups who are working towards organic farming?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question for me. I'm like, without promoting my own startup, I would say like there are tons of technology right these days, and ag tech and agriculture is a sector where a lot of there's a huge space for such innovation, right? Whether starting from drones, which was like a very cool stuff few years back, and now the satellite, right? The satellite hyperscale images. In these days, comes to the rover side and the sensor side, right? So there are tons of technology, and these are so of course, as I mentioned, these names or these keywords from drones, rovers, and the sensors, satellite as well. There are a lot of information. There's a lot of technology can be done without involvement of any hardware. For example, blockchain, the IoT, the AI algorithm.
Hmm.
So it's not just related to the productivity part, but also the supply chain. So in India, it's not just like apart from the productivity part, we also have a problem where we're providing the farmer to access to the direct user, the end user. So in this case, supply chain blockchain is something can be crucial, right? So there is a tons of technology now. The latest technology it comes in the picture is the sustainable packing. So the food waste and crop waste is another critical problem here in India and globally. So nowadays, like startups, there are tons of startups. There's a one I mentor. They're making a sustainable packing, which help farmer to reduce the food waste. So their food product can be sustained for up to several weeks. So these are some of the advanced technology in the market these days.
And I think when you refer to the packaging solutions, I think that is another very big area where circular economy or maybe the circular practices need entire focus, because I think one report says that the major contribution of our waste is the packaging is from the packaging industry. And I see the big giants, even like Coca-Cola, have been taking steps to reduce or maybe at least recover their waste, especially the PET bottles, to recycle them as much as possible. And thanks to the policies all over the globe, I think they are forcing the EPR has come, the extended producer responsibility, where they are to recycle. So that also, I think, will gradually lead to reduction in the packaging waste that we see, and plus the sustainable methods that are coming up. I don't know how much of them are actually, I mean, we can call them sustainable, definitely, but are they circular in nature? Are they kind of long-term solution to the industry, to the packaging industry currently, is still a question. So, coming to my last question, Lalit, is you have been working and you have been associated with a lot of startups as well. Could you tell me a few startups from India, particularly, who have been working on to attain sustainable agriculture and using kind of circular practices to attain that circularity?
Yeah, so again, I have mentioned a couple of technologies which making agriculture more sustainable, but I think let me start from like point A to point Z. So initially, the one of the key reasons that a lot of resource based in the agriculture, right? And here we have a lot of companies, especially the agtech and sensor based companies, those who providing and give the insights and advisory to the farmer to make the right uses of the fertilizers and water. So we do have companies from, from I'm not sure if I allowed to use the name of these startups, but there are a few wonderful startups as well. And then if you talk about the second important thing, which is very valuable for the circular economy, is reducing the food waste, right? In India, I think, as I mentioned, more than productivity, the supply chain part is more critical. So now we have like some wonderful names like Sun Helpline and the other Sun
You
Network.
can
They
take the
created.
names. You are free to take the names.
Okay, okay. So I'm like, I think that from the sensor and advisory side, we have Texture, Buffercell, even Sensors as well. And then we have on the supply chain, these are the ones who connecting, who linking the farmers to the end user to make the whole supply chain quicker and faster, right? So they can like once the farmer grow the food, they can directly reach. So there are ones Kisan Network, Kisan Helpline are the one which is doing. I know a few of them, and then it comes to the very different use cases, as I mentioned, sustainable packing, right? So there's a
Mm.
startup called Pelon. So what they're trying to do, they're making the sustainable packing with the food waste. So they're taking two components, which is very useful for circular economy. First of all, they're taking the food product, which is waste, and they're recycling it, using it, and making a very nice sustainable packing that can pack the food product to make it like a last long. So
Okay.
this is one, yeah, this is the idea. I like it. The another
Mm.
one is a very I like the startup. There's a Fool is a Kanpur based friend of mine has founded this, and they're using the flowers and the food waste to making the incense. They're
Yeah,
making the
I
product,
heard
right?
about that. Yes.
Yeah. So I think these are great initiatives, right? These are the one which is not just giving you the livelihood or sustainability to the employment side, but also creating a wonderful the environmental based impact. So these are some of the startups I'm aware about.
Well, thank you. I think that was very informative, Lalit, and I wish you all luck in your efforts in India and globally. And I wish to see Indian agriculture becoming more sustainable and circular in the coming years. Obviously, they talk about farm bills that happen, and this stubble burning in India, which remains a major cause and a major debatable issue. We are going to follow them up in our upcoming sessions on sustainable agriculture. Thank you so much, Lalit, for this insightful discussion today. I'm sure the people who watched this session learned a lot about agricultural policies, working for sustainable farming, as well as new startups coming up which aim for some same outcome. To our audience, we will continue this series with more discussions with esteemed experts on sustainable agriculture for a more circular future. You can also come back to our YouTube channel to check out more videos on circular economy. Thank you so much, Lalit, for all your
Thank you,
inputs.
Shalini. Glad
Thank
to be here. Thanks.
thank you.